And so what I'm worried about is that as bad as things are, they're actually they're getting worse, and nobody's talking about that. And so we have an absolute responsibility, I think, to start talking about a lot of things. Everybody focuses on policing, but that's a lower-hanging fruit. We need to talk about what's happening in this country across the spectrum, because police isn't the only problem. And I'm not disagreeing that police has got some problems. Don't get me wrong, right?
Just from a numbers perspective, the police are killing more people, not less people, since 2014. The police killed more people in 2018 than 2017. And again, like, I think about the people who are being killed, they don't think about this as a small, like, their families aren't like, you know what, it's a small problem. It seems pretty big in a lot of communities.
One is one too many, absolutely, and I agree with you. But you mentioned the Houston Police Department. We used to average about 45 to 50 officer-involved shootings a year. Last year, we're down to 15. We have got to hold us accountable, but also let's celebrate some wins every once in a while. Let's celebrate some good trends every once in a while. Let's talk about the fact that you've got police chiefs that are fighting. I fought with my own city manager here who wanted to know, my black city manager wanted to know, why am I writing an op-ed piece about pre-K education? And let me tell you why. Because kids of color that come from the have-nots, to no fault of their own, are starting kindergarten way behind. They're behind with their vocabulary. They're behind with their reading comprehension. And you know what? In 1969, when I started kindergarten, it was a 4-hour day. I didn't speak a word of English. Now you're probably thinking, I wish they would have never touched the language. I mean, it was milk and cookie time. It was playground time. It was nap time. It was a 4-hour day. My son Jake, who, God bless him, turns 11 tomorrow, his kindergarten started at 7:35 a.m. and went to 2:35 p.m. They were reading, they were writing, they were doing math, they were doing science. And had that kid not had parents that were able to afford a quality pre-K education, he would have gone there behind, further behind, and probably would end up out of school, in prison. And you know what? These kids matter to us. And when my city manager beat me up for that, guess what? He might not care about kids, but I do. And I want to make sure that we don't just focus on one area, but focus on everything that's leading to these issues in our society.
Gotcha.
Passionate about education.
No, I like it. And this is not I really am not Debbie Downer about the police. And I really, sign me up for public education as somebody who used to teach, is that when we look at the publicly available data for the Houston Police Department, and you just got there, so since you've been there, it's been better than it was before. It's like the numbers are good from the numbers are good from the moment people took to the street and were like, enough. The numbers dropped. Like the 7 years preceding that, the Houston PD killed like 50 people a year. That is wild, right? So it's not actually enough data for me to be convinced that there's like this crazy trend that is like actually dropping. I'm interested in, we've had a back and forth before about the policy.
We do have a good time.
That in Houston, the Houston PD doesn't require de-escalation. Chokeholds aren't banned.
See, but that's not true. We do require de-escalation. And see,
we literally did a study of the police use of force policies.
I would ask you to go to YouTube and find about and by the way, I told you I want to get all those. I want all 5.
So you were saying publicly that the Houston PD policy right now requires de-escalation.
We require them to de-escalate when possible, yes. And we train that way.
Okay.
And by the way, when my cadets come in on day 1, I invite you to go look at the video of it's online. You can see on YouTube, Houston PD cadets. From day 1, we talk about the sanctity of life. We talk about that we shouldn't ever shoot at someone just because we can, just because the law says.
I get the talking about it is different than the policy, right? So like, my understanding is the Houston PD doesn't ban chokeholds, doesn't ban shooting in cars. Like those sort of things are, like, it's one thing to train people something, but if the policy isn't that, then like I'm not convinced that that's a priority.
No, we don't shoot at cars unless I'm up against the wall and that car's coming right at me and I can't get out of the way and that's the last thing I can do. It's a last resort. So no, we don't go shoot at cars. We're not other agencies that shoot at cars and shoot from helicopters like it's a movie.
I'm talking about the policy. Okay,
well,
we can follow this later.
That's a policy.
This is I truly embrace this.
And I'm going to get 8. I want to get 8 from this guy before it's over.
I truly embrace this dialogue, and these are the conversations that we need to have.